Alright guys, so today I'll be making my top 25 coasters I've ridden as of 2021. I have ridden a lot of new coasters, and there's been a lot of coasters to move way up in my rankings and way down, so let's get right into it. Alright, so coming in at number 25, actually moved down a bit, is Ride of Steel at Six Flags Darien Lake. And this ride's really good, it has some great airtime moments. The straight section over the water actually makes sense, unlike America's, which you will not see on this list. And overall, it's at my home park, so I get to ride it a lot. I felt it was running slightly weaker this year, but that's okay. It's still a great ride. And now for a ride that shot way up in my rankings, number 24 is going to be Raptor at Cedar Point. I used to have this like not even in my top 50, but now it's all the way up here, and this ride's just whippy. Like, it's not my favorite B&M invert, but it's definitely the whippiest. Like, you just fly through each element, and the final helix is definitely really intense. You get a little bit of airtime on that drop, and just overall really fun invert. Number 23 is going to be Tatsu at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This ride definitely feels like an easy step up from Superman Ultimate Flight, like the whole way through. Like, all the turns are a bit more forceful, the inversions are all a bit more forceful, and especially that pretzel loop. That thing's just stupidly intense. Like, you'll definitely gray out every time. You'll feel the positive G's. You get a great view of Magic Mountain from there, and overall, just what a great coaster. Now, my number 22 spot is the first new coaster I rode this year. This is TMNT Shellraiser at Nickelodeon Universe in American Dream Mall. And this ride has really good hang time, which isn't my favorite element on coasters, but it's fun. The drop was a bit underwhelming for the steepest drop in the world, but the two elements I want to highlight are the launch, which is shockingly powerful, one of my favorite launches, and the ejector hill before the first brake run. I don't know why that hill's so good, but it is. I love it. And overall, just a great ride. Number 21 is going to be Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. I haven't ridden this thing in 5 years because it was down my visit in 2021, but I remember it being really intense, the launch being really good, the top hat giving great views and being pretty fun, and then ending, which, yeah, it's a really short ride. Definitely wish it had a bit of length, but for what it is, it's really intense. You get the lap bars for open feeling, so that's great. Overall, just a really fun experience. And at the number 20 spot, we've actually got King Ka at Six Flags Great Adventure. I do like this slightly more. I feel like the launch is just equally as intense. The top hat's equally as great, but I'll put it slightly over as the floater hill after. The airtime's nothing too crazy, but you do get some good sustained floater on it. So that's why I put it ahead of Dragster, but everything else, basically, I said about Dragster applies to Ka. Number 19 is Behemoth at Canada's Wonderland. And this ride has really good floater airtime. It's a B&M Hyper, so of course it does. I don't think it's quite as strong as the other Hypers. And really that twister section does nothing, so that's why it's my least favorite Hyper I've been on, but it's still great floater airtime. And of course in the back the drop's going to be really good, so overall great ride. Now at my number 18 spot is probably really controversial, but this is Goliath at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And I've always said this, but I don't know why this ride gets so much hate. It's got good floater airtime, not quite as good as Behemoth's, but to make up for that, it has a really intense twister section in the second half that will definitely make you gray out. I definitely like intensity almost as much as airtime on some days. So that twister section was really fun for me. And yeah, Goliath just super underrated. Definitely doesn't deserve the hate it gets. Number 17, we got Candemonium at Hershey Park. And I feel like the airtime's kind of on par with Behemoth for this one. Maybe a bit stronger. I do think the first hill's definitely stronger. Plus it's got that speed hill. And then my favorite part of the ride for back row riders is definitely that drop off the upward helix. In the back row, you get some crazy sideways airtime. That's really fun. But then the second half definitely dies. You hit a really nasty trim that slows all chances of airtime or positive Gs. So that sucks, but overall great ride, Candemonium. Number 16 is my favorite B&M invert, which is Banshee at Kings Island. This ride's easily the most intense invert I've been on. I mean, at the valley of every inversion, it's just positive Gs. And then I think the most intense part is the loop into the upward helix. That's crazy. And then the best part of the ride's definitely the Heartline roll. You get crazy hang time there. The first drop also gives great airtime like Raptor. So overall, Banshee's is so fun. Such a great ride. And for number 15, we're staying at the same park with Diamondback, also at Kings Island. And I think this is the best B&M Hyper for airtime. Definitely the first drop's crazy. The first hill's the best hill on any B&M Hyper that I've ridden. And then the second hill after that's really good. The turnaround does nothing, but like the hill after that hits a really bad trim as well, and that kind of makes the rest of the ride like weak floater, which sucks. So I think this could easily be my favorite B&M Hyper if that trim didn't hit so hard. But it does, so it's here at number 15, which is still a great spot. So at number 14 is my favorite B&M Hyper, which is Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. Nitro's airtime is also extremely good. Just really sustained floater on every hill, especially the drop off the mid-course. That's just crazy abrupt moment of ejector even. But I think what sets this above of Diamondback, which I think the airtime's slightly weaker, but Diamondback really doesn't have any positive Gs, but Nitro packs a lot with that helix. You'll definitely gray out on that helix, so that put it slightly above Diamondback for me for my favorite B&M Hyper. Number 13 is right next to Nitro and is Jersey Devil Coaster. This ride I was a bit more excited about earlier, but more I thought about it, I dropped it a bit. The back row first drop is one of the best drops of all time, I think. The hill, the first airtime hill gives great ejector. The 0G stall is the best part of the ride for front row riders. That's really crazy. Does kind of die in the second half, which is why I pushed it back to 13. I do think it is the weakest RMC, but that being said, the weakest RMC is still like a top 100 coaster in the world probably, so it's still a great ride. Number 12 is Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland, and the first drop on this is amazing. You're just falling forever. You definitely feel the speed a lot. You get great floater airtime on every hill, even ejector on the speed hill even. So the airtime's really good. Again, these Gigas are all about the speed, and it definitely achieves that. So Leviathan's definitely an amazing ride. And at the number 11 spot is the other B&M Giga I've been on, which is Orion at Kings Island. And this is kind of the same story with Leviathan for the first drop. You're just falling forever. After that is a really good wave turn. It also has a speed hill, which is really good. The best part of the ride for front row riders is this weird, stupid wave turn into the brake run, which I don't know why that's really good, though. Overall, again, you really feel the speed, and it's just a really fun ride. And now we're in the top 10, and number 10 shot up quite a bit. It is Millennium Force at Cedar Point. And I didn't get a front row ride on this, but I could only imagine that would be even better just to feel the speed even more. Because this is a speed monster. I mean, the wind's just always in your face. Like, it never lets up. Like, it has some great floater airtime. The drop's almost as good as the B&M Giga drops. Great intensity. Like, I know some people call this Millennium Forceless, but it definitely isn't that. There's definitely some great positive Gs to this and airtime as well. So overall, Millennium Force definitely shot up and is a great number 10. Number 9 is X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And this is probably at least one of the most disorienting coasters in the world. That first drop is just absolutely crazy. Like, you're already falling. Like, it's a good drop in the first place, but then you have to do a flip in the middle of it, which is crazy. The rest of it's really intense as well, except for the flat turnaround. I literally take Gatekeeper's Helix over that thing. It's so forceless. And overall, the ride's actually kind of rough, which, when you're going through a layout that intense and disorienting, the like constant like bouncing of the vehicles and like track joints, like aero transitions aren't too great. But overall, this is still a really great ride. At the number 8 spot, we've got Skyrush at Hershey Park. And I feel like the first drop and the first two hills are easily the stars of the show for this ride. They're just amazing. Some of the best moments of airtime I've experienced. But after that, ride kind of lets up. Again, I haven't ridden in 4 years, and with another coaster coming up on this list, that same mindset changed of it letting up in the second half. But for now, this stays at number 8. Number 7 is actually the Beast at Kings Island. Now, the reason it's ahead of amazing coasters like Orion, Skyrush, and X2 is just because of like how intense and like how fast this feels. Like, you're just flying through the woods. Like, this, you really feel the speed on this ride like no other. And this is easily the best coaster I've ridden in for laterals. Like, you're pinned to the side of your seat for the majority of this ride, and this does have a couple airtime moments, I felt. Nothing crazy, but a couple, so that's nice. But again, the end helix is just bonkers for laterals, and then, of course, night rides are incredible on this. Definitely the best night rides I've had. Again, you just feel like you're flying through the woods. It's amazing. Beast is definitely an amazing coaster. Now, the number 6 spot is Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England. RMCs are just relentless. Like, this thing is non-stop ejector airtime from start to finish. And whereas most coasters, I can pinpoint one specific part of the ride that I thought was easily the best, this is one where, like, I really can't decide. Like, RMC, I feel like, is best at, like, blending their elements together. Like, there's not one thing that stands out. Like, they're all connected to make one masterpiece of a coaster, and that's definitely what Wicked Cyclone is. Number 5 is Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and this is kind of the same story as Wicked Cyclone, where, like, there's not one part of the ride that stands out. Like, it all just connects together so well to make one incredible ride. Plus, the dueling, like, it was dueling for all 3 of my rides, so that definitely enhanced the experience. Again, the high fives, the Top Gun stall, like, all that are just so fun racing another train with. So that's definitely a top 5 coaster for me. Alright, so now number 4 is El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. The first half is just stupid. Like, the first drops, just absolutely crazy, and then the first 2 camelbacks are crazy as well. And then the turnaround's pretty rough, and then the rest of it, like, the rest of the first half's kind of a dud. But unlike what I used to think before I rewrote it this year, the second half's crazy. You start off with the Rolling Thunder Hill, which just absolutely launches you out of your seat. And then the Twister section's crazy as well. You'll probably gray out on that. El Toro definitely shot up my rankings for sure. Now, my number 3 spot is Maverick at Cedar Point. And what can I say? This ride really has everything. It's got a launch. It's got those, like, I-305 style snapbacks. It's got ejector airtime. It's got inversions. It's got crazy stangle dives. It has the first drop. It's really just got everything. And it does all those things really well, which is just astonishing to me how well it achieves everything it does. But coming slightly ahead of it at number 2, Number 3 and 2 were probably the closest and toughest decision I had to make, but I put Phoenix at Knoebels at number 2. And really, I stand by what I said last year when I said this ride really delivers nothing but airtime. But man, when I rewrote it this year, I didn't care at all that it had nothing but airtime, because the airtime on this ride is absolutely stupid. Like, there's like 5 inches in between me and the lap bar as it is. And then you're gonna send me through like this crazy double up, which is like the first real moment where you're like, yeah, this is the best Woody in the world. And then, of course, the airtime finale is my favorite finale on any coaster. Just 4 hills in a row, or you just get launched, and I mean violently launched out of your seat, and you're glued to the top of that lap bar until you hit the valley, and then you're just launched again. Yeah, Phoenix's airtime is just something else. Everyone definitely needs to experience it. And I personally think it is the best Woody in the world. But at the number 1 spot, coming as a shock to probably no one, is Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. And really, this is the perfect coaster, kind of. I mean, it doesn't have like I-305 snapbacks, but Maverick has those, so they really didn't need it. But it's got airtime, it's got inversions, it's got the first drop, it's got the length, it's smooth, it's really got everything. Like, in the second half, you don't know where you're going because you're in and out of that structure. You're upside down in it, you're sideways, you're out of your seat. And this coaster has my 4 favorite elements on any coaster just on this one ride. Like, it's crazy. And like Wicked Cyclone and Twisted Colossus, this thing doesn't let up until the end. You are hauling the entire time. You're getting crazy ejector the whole way through. I don't get what people say about, like, there's some floater in the second half. Like, no, it's just all straight ejector. It is all sustained. And that's why this is my favorite coaster, and probably will be for a long time. So that was my list of my top 25 favorite coasters as of 2021. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.